Welcome to another deep dive. Today, we're stepping back, way back, over 2.5 millennia. We're exploring a truly foundational moment in Buddhist history. We've often talked about that, remarkable, really rapid expansion of the early Sangha, the Buddhist community, especially after people like Yasa, one of the Buddha's earliest lay disciples, and his whole family converted. That was huge. Suddenly you had this flourishing community, 60 enlightened disciples. And while this incredible growth, it naturally brought a need for more structure, maybe tradition. It wasn't just a small gathering anymore, it was becoming a real movement. So today we're unpacking a practice that gave them exactly that structure, the first rain retreat, known everywhere as Vassa. What's so compelling is just how long it's lasted. This isn't some historical relic, it's a living tradition. Monastics have observed it nonstop for over 2,500 years. Okay, let's unpack this.
It's quite striking, actually. The Vassa, this rain retreat, it really did come from a very practical need, a problem they had to solve. But almost immediately, it grew beyond just that. It transformed into this profound period for intense spiritual work and really building the community. It has this brilliant duality, you could say. And what's fascinating here is, well, if you look at the bigger picture, it's such a testament to the Buddha's foresight, his wisdom. It shows how a simple seasonal thing, the monsoon rains, could be used so skillfully. It wasn't just about tackling immediate problems. It fostered deeper practice. And crucially, it helped solidify the Sangha, made it cohesive, disciplined. It really laid a cornerstone.
That duality, practical meets profound. That makes so much sense why it lasted. So let's dig into those practical roots first. You might be asking, okay, what exactly started this whole retreat idea? And you really have to picture the climate in ancient India, right? The Buddha and his first monks, they lived this itinerant life, always moving, wandering ascetics, village to village, teaching the Dhamma, receiving alms for food. That was their life. But then the monsoons hit. So for a group whose whole path involved moving around, what were the real gut level challenges when the rains came pouring down? It's more than just getting wet, I imagine. What changed so drastically that they couldn't keep doing what they were doing?
Well, the challenges were immense, absolutely. Travel during that rainy season, the Vassa, it became incredibly hard, dangerous even. Roads were just, dirt paths. They turned into these muddy nightmares, impassable. And rivers would swell up, flood their banks, crossing them. Treacherous, if not impossible. So just for the basic safety and physical well-being of the monastics, staying put started to look like a really clear, practical solution. But, and this is really important to highlight, the Buddha's thinking went beyond just keeping his disciples safe. He also set up this practice to stop the monks from accidentally harming things. All of new plant life that springs up in the rains and the millions of tiny insects that suddenly appear everywhere, they become much more visible. This was a key compassionate reason. It really underscores that core Buddhist principle of ahimsa, non-harming. So if we connect this to the bigger picture, you see two kinds of compassion working together, really. Deep care for the monks themselves, making sure they were okay and could keep practicing without interruption. And, just as deeply, compassion for all living beings, however small. The Buddha's instruction was specific. Find a suitable place to stay, put a monastery, maybe a cave, even just a simple shelter, and live there for the whole 3 months of the monsoon. That direction, that call to pause, basically that was the official start of the Vassa tradition.
All right, so practical needs deep compassion, and boom, this tradition takes root. And where did it start? The Deer Park at Sarnath. I mean, talk about significant locations. That's where the Buddha first taught, where he set up the Sangha with the first 5 monks. What a shift that must have been for them. And crucially, the Buddha wasn't just sending out memos. He was right there with them the whole time, giving constant direct teaching and guidance. That sounds like such an intense, formative period. Staying in one place for 3 months, completely different from wandering all the time. It reshaped their whole day. It sounds less like a holiday retreat and more like a spiritual immersion almost.
And this raises an important question. What actual spiritual impact did staying put like this have? And the answer is, well, pretty profound. This period allowed for a kind of intense, single-minded focus on spiritual growth that just wasn't possible when they were constantly traveling. Monastics could now really commit fully. No distractions from planning the next journey, finding the next alms route. Just meditation, deep study of the Dhamma, and practicing together as a community. All their energy could go inwards and towards learning together. What's fascinating is how this really nurtured them spiritually. They'd gather daily, not just meditating alone, but discussing the Dhamma, sharing what they learned, puzzling through difficult ideas, helping each other stay on track. It wasn't just solo effort, it was collective. And the bigger outcome. This dedicated time built an incredibly strong sense of community. It really reinforced the Sangha's collective discipline. And here's a really critical insight, I think, for understanding how Buddhist thought developed. many of those foundational teachings, the core ideas that form the basis of Buddhist philosophy and practice. They were actually explained, discussed, debated, and memorized during these specific retreats. These intense periods of study basically solidified the whole intellectual and spiritual framework of Buddhism, made sure it was clear and could be passed down. It was genuinely a time of deep cultivation for individuals and for the whole young community.
Wow, that really hammers home how vital these retreats were for shaping the entire tradition. But okay, let's challenge something here. It sounds very monastic, right? Like a spiritual boot camp just for monks. I'm wondering, did the lay community just sort of stand back during these 3 months? Or was there some kind of maybe surprising give and take? I mean, if the monks weren't going out for alms, they still needed to eat right.
Exactly. And this is where that beautiful symbiotic relationship between the monks and the lay followers really came into its own. It blossomed. The lay community took on this essential job, bringing food, other necessities directly to the monks at their retreat spots. This act of giving, it's called Dāna. It's a central, deeply respected practice in Buddhism. And Dāna isn't just, charity like handing over goods. It's seen as cultivating immense generosity, creating spiritual merit for the person giving. It builds a really powerful connection. What's really striking is the mutual benefit. It worked both ways. The lay community supported the monks materially, kept them going physically, allowed them to focus completely on their spiritual path. And the monks, they supported the lay community spiritually. They kept teaching the Dhamma, offering guidance, and just by being there, they served as living examples of the path and created this deep bond, interdependence, and it still exists today. In the Vassa period, it traditionally ends with a really special, very meaningful ceremony called the Kathina ceremony. This is when lay people offer new robes to the monastics.
Giving these new robes right at the end of the retreat, it's this powerful symbol that the mutual respect, the deep interdependence that's existed for thousands of years between the monks and the lay followers. It really highlights how both parts are essential for the other to flourish. So maybe for you listening, think about this. How does that kind of mutual support, that reciprocal giving, strengthen any community you're part of? Religious, civic, even just family and friends, what can we learn there about real interdependence?
It's such a powerful picture of community, isn't it? Shared purpose. And when you put all these pieces together, the practical start, the deep spiritual work, the community effort, the symbiosis, it really shows why the Vassa lasted over 2,500 years. This robust testament to both its practical value for monastic life and its profound spiritual meaning for everyone. Its endurance isn't just history. Its core wisdom still speaks, even in our crazy, hyper-connected world today.
So what does this all mean for us today, whatever path we're on? The Vassa acts like this constant, timeless reminder that for real spiritual progress, and honestly, I'd say for personal and professional growth too, we need both. We need dedicated times for active engagement with the world, and also dedicated times for quiet, intentional retreat, for deep, focused practice. It's not about picking one or the other, but finding a rhythm, integrating both into our lives skillfully. It shines a light on these universal principles, things that go beyond any single tradition. The lasting value of discipline, the strength you get from community, the transformation that comes from focused dedication to whatever path you choose. These aren't just old Buddhist ideas. They feel incredibly relevant right now, maybe even more so. Think about the challenges today. Information overload, always being connected, this culture that glorifies being constantly busy. These principles offer a kind of blueprint for how to thrive when the world pulls us in so many directions.
So we've journeyed through the Vassa, a practice born from something as real as the monsoon rains, which then blossomed into this incredibly profound period of spiritual growth, community building, affecting countless lives for millennia. It really speaks to the power of living intentionally and the wisdom of knowing when to pause, so maybe consider this. In our world, constantly connected, fast-paced, where busy is often worn like a badge of honor, what might you gain from intentionally carving out your own rain retreat? A dedicated time for focused stillness, intentional withdrawal, even if it's just an hour, a day, maybe a week. What kind of clarity or insight or maybe renewed purpose might bubble up from that intentional pause?
Yeah, the deep lesson from Vassa, I think, isn't really about escaping the world or running away from responsibilities, not at all. It's more about intentionally stepping back, taking that pause, nourishing your inner life, so that you can come back and engage with the world more effectively, engage with greater clarity, maybe deeper compassion, and a stronger sense of purpose. It's about building that inner foundation so you can contribute more meaningfully, more sustainably to the world outside.